1.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Main Stand podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mitchell. We got Josh, we got Pat, and we are back for episode 9. We got some fun stuff in store. We're going to talk about the international break. We've got some Spurs fan therapy. We've got a guest this week. And we've got a weekend coming up that is full of gems. So we're going to dive, dip, duck, and dodge right into it. Josh, take us away.
Well, I guess we should introduce our guest first, the one and only Austin Farwell. Austin, why don't you give all the listeners a little background about who you are, how you kind of got into soccer, and who you support.
Well, unfortunately, right now I'm a big Tottenham supporter. Hasn't been going well this year. But a little about me. I'm from Southern Maine. Grew up in Maine my entire life. Went to the University of Southern Maine, where I played soccer when I wasn't hurt. Battled a lot of injuries while I was there. But yeah, I've just always been a fan of soccer. It's been my life. And currently I'm assistant coaching at a preparatory school in Bridgeton, Maine, and just trying to follow the game as long as I can right now.
We'd love to see it. Future Mauricio Pochettino in the ranks.
That would be nice.
First ever Austin, coach on the main stand also.
Austin, you think you could do a better job than Gregg Berhalter right now?
Maybe, honestly. I think it'd be hard not to do a better job than him at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue to get right into my U.S. men's national team fan therapy part 2, essentially, because, God, we're dog shit.
It was bad, a rough break.
Like, cool. We won last night. That's, like, really awesome. Fuck, we look so bad still. We just look so bad. I just want to puke, dude. Just want to throw up.
Dude, the thing that's infuriating, I get CONCACAF qualifying is hard and it's different than all the other confederations, but we're playing like Panama and Costa Rica. We're not playing like Scotland and Wales, like some tougher sides in Europe. We're playing islands, like, and can't get results.
I mean, at least we picked up the 3 points at home. That is really important last night. But, like, I'm just still, like, every road game, I'm just, like, terrified of, like, what dumb shit Gregg Berhalter's going to do. Like, he, like, adores rotating for no good reason.
Yeah, I mean, watching the Panama game.
7?
Yeah.
It was something stupid. But, like, watching the Panama game makes you almost not want to watch U.S. soccer sometimes. It's, like, it's so disheartening to...
There's just no energy in the side. Yeah. There's no want. And I think Gregg, as Pat so eloquently says,
stupid fuck, I hate him.
He's not doing enough to put these guys in the best position to win. Morally, tactically, I think Pepe was a really huge bright spot over the last couple of games. But there just isn't anything screaming, these guys are getting better. And I think when you have the names of Weston McKennie, like we've talked about this, like we have talent in our side that is playing in the top leagues in Europe, which hasn't happened in a very long time. And then they come out and look flat. It looks like they're doing absolutely nothing to put the ball in the back of the net, or vice versa, keep it out. Pretty much the name of the game of football. But I think, like, Jossie Zardes, I don't know what he's doing out there.
If I ever have to see him start again for us, dude, I'm gonna.
What the fuck is Jossie Zardes doing to benefit this side right now? Absolutely nothing.
Are you guys worried that we're being sold a little bit of dreams that this team cannot fulfill?
I think having the expectations that this team right now in 2021 going into 2022 can perform at this like super high level because we have these guys playing in Europe is just wrong. Like, I don't think, at least myself personally, I don't believe that like this current group at this age is going to really propel us forward like that. But at the same time, like, I just feel like they should be better than they are currently. Like in another cycle, in moving into 2026, I don't think it's getting ahead of ourselves to say that like we should be a lot better. And like we're not, I don't think we're going to be pushing for like the World Cup, but like saying we could make the quarterfinals or like maybe even a semifinal in like 5-6 years with the core we have. I don't think that's a stretch, but I think maybe getting ahead of ourselves right now in this current moment, like definitely. But like this group of guys we have, like, and the level of experience that a lot of them have, like we shouldn't be expecting more than we're getting. It's just disheartening to see like they're somehow like lower than my current expectations.
Yeah, and the hard part for me is like I enjoyed watching them, beat Mexico in those two finals this summer, and that was like definitely a step in the, completely right direction. But then you play like lower sides, and it's the same U.S. men's national team we've got over the past 6 years. That it's just inconsistency and losing, dropping points in games you should easily be winning. I was happy that, Pepe kind of looked good again in his outings. Looks like he's going to Wolfsburg. So I'm happy to see him go to Europe. I think Pat is right in that just going to Europe like doesn't mean you're necessarily good enough or that the U.S. men's national team is like exclusively going to be great just because they have players in Europe. That's not the case. I am excited to see him go over there. I think the less MLS players we have in the starting 11, I think the better. That's just my simple opinion, but we are still miles off of it.
Yeah, and I don't mean like just because they're there means that we should have an outstanding team. Really what I mean by that is I think they have better access to improve. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but you're exposing yourself to better competition, both for your role in the side and on the field against your opponents. You have better training facilities, and the game is just more robust across the pond. And I think it just gives them that little extra edge than playing in the MLS or staying in the States and exclusively, just trying to grow their game and get to the men's national team locally. But I don't know. My thought right now is like, are we being too critical of this side because of the names that we do see and they're kind of more put on a pedestal now? They're easier to access. More people are following it. So I guess, are there more expectations, or are we COVID critical in the time that like, okay, in the last 2 years, we haven't seen them improve while on lockdown, whatever it may be. Like we've seen people slip up with Weston McKennie. Like, is it a sign of the times, or are we just being too critical in general?
I don't know. I think that maybe we're being a little harsh because, like, at the end of the day, we're still second in our group. And, like, my prediction of us, like, barely getting out, it feels like that's not going to be the case. It feels like they're going to qualify for the World Cup at least, which is good. But at the same time, like, the flat performances, like, the guys that, like, should be performing at a really high level just, like, not really doing that, like Josh pointed out, beating Mexico in 2 finals over the summer, and then like wanting to really come out and make a statement that like we're here and like we're trying after not qualifying in the fashion we did in the last go round. It just doesn't feel like the men's national team is like playing as well as we all know they can, despite like the levels they're currently reaching. And I think that's tough. And then I think it maybe doesn't help their case winning those 2 finals. I feel like we're expecting a lot more out of them, seeing what the level they can produce at. But no Pulisic and no Reyna too. I mean, that's a point we have to make like every time we've talked about the men's national team these past couple of games is 2 really, really big losses. I don't think Guest is playing fully fit either. We saw last night, another little knock on his ankle and another little time where it looked like he just like wasn't fully up to the pace like throughout the full 90. So I think maybe a fully fit side with like a Zach Steffen who's like got rhythm and like a regular attack and like solidified midfield. I think it's a little bit different. But overall, I'm just not sold on him yet.
It's a little bit of a fear of complacency and repetition too, isn't it? Like a little bit of fear of the past. I think that's why so many people got mad at Weston. It's not that we are disappointed in him for that that mishap in the last break. But it's ultimately just like you're wanting him to be better and different than the last generation. That's why we're upset. It's not that we're like totally against him or whatever. It's that we've saw like why the U.S. failed in the past 15 years, and we don't want this young group of players that has potential to get to that next level of international football to do the same exact thing. And that's why we get scared when we draw and drop points against like the Costa Ricas and the Panamas of CONCACAF. We get scared that the same thing is happening over again. And I think that's completely fair from the U.S. fans' point of view.
I think everybody wants the success. Everybody wants to see these guys grow and succeed and go out and put on a performance that American soccer fans can be proud of, because I think internationally we kind of get the shaft when it comes to soccer and in the game of football, and it's like, it's not your sport. What are you doing? So I mean, we have talent, we have the support, and I think it's just the flat performances really do need to stop. I think they need to go out and show what they can actually do, because everybody's seen it. And I think if it keeps going the way it is, like, again, we've given them that 2-year window. If we look at what the team's doing a year from now and they're still doing the same thing, something needs to change. Something definitely needs to change to put us in a position to grow.
Yeah, part of me thinks that they haven't found the right guy to be running the team. Like Pat says, like,
yeah,
I don't know if Gregg's the man to be
exactly
bringing this team to the next level.
In that light, Austin, as someone who is now coaching, I know it's probably not the same level, but are we being too harsh on Gregg Berhalter as a coach? Like, have you seen in your experience coaching and being coached at like a higher level than any of us have played at the collegiate level, like how much does having a coach that like either knows what they're doing or doesn't know what they're doing really play into things? And like, as now a coach, like how much does like your experience like matter to the sides that you're like teaching to play the sport and basically telling like, this is how we're going to do things?
I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, soccer is a player's game, and you can do as much as you can throughout the week, but when you get to the game day, it's up to the players to follow through with it. But I think coaching's a lot bigger than some people realize. And I think we're completely right to be kind of on Gregg. I mean, I've played against teams where, the coach isn't a full-time coach. He's a science teacher as well. And he just does it because he like played soccer when he was younger. And he likes soccer. And you can tell the difference of level of play compared to a coach that all they do is soccer and all they know is soccer. And, they have the licensing and stuff to prove it. But then again, licensing doesn't also, mean a lot. I mean, if you look at UNH's program right now, they were just ranked second in the country for Division I soccer, and their head coach doesn't have any licenses. So, I mean, ultimately, I think it is a pretty huge impact, especially on the sideline, too. You got to have that guy that, can keep the team kind of in line, and when it's starting to fall apart a little bit, to rally them back up. Like you've said, they look flat, and it doesn't look like they have that, like, push from someone.
They need to know their players. They need to know what makes them tick. You need to know who you have on the bench, who you have on the pitch, and what they're going to do for each other.
It's a very psychological thing. Like,
and it doesn't even need to go noticed. Like, you can do it completely without the players knowing what is going on. But as a manager, you see what those things are, that, like when two players link up really well, you're the one that sees that. I don't know necessarily if they're going to see that in game or if they're doing something that's working. And I don't know if Gregg is adding that little bit of motivation to the side to say, hey, this is how we can attack these weak points when we come up against side X, Y, or Z.
I also feel like Gregg does not have the charisma as a manager. Kind of like Farwell pointed out, there's things that go beyond just licensing and knowing the game. It's managing your team, managing your players, and managing that locker room in hard times. You know the guy who does have the charisma to manage a side like that and have the weight of the U.S. on his shoulders? A lad named Jesse Marsh.
I was thinking Austin Farwell, but
Austin Farwell's a close
Jesse
second.
Marsh works too.
Marsh would be a great manager for the United States.
Yep, I just think anyone that isn't Gregg Berhalter would be a good manager. Dude, I feel like I could fucking do it.
I think ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's kind of coming down to. And I think eventually, if it keeps kind of going at this like mediocre level, you'll see a change. But hard to say.
Speaking of managers in question, how about we move over to England, some UEFA World Cup qualifying, and talk about Gareth Southgate. Now, this is a manager that's definitely been called into question, after the Euros especially. England have drawn 2 out of the 3 last games. Do we think he's the man to take England to the World Cup next winter?
No, but I don't know who else is available. And that's my take on it. I think at this point, with like the time that Southgate has invested into the squad, it doesn't feel like he's lost the locker room. It feels like he's, like, bare minimum, he's got the trust of some of the players there. I don't think that it's the right call to sack someone's like this close and in like right in the middle of qualifying when like they are still doing. They're getting the job done. They're top of the group still. Like, they're performing relatively well at the international level in their group. I don't think that now is the time to sack him. And I also think that, like, maybe he has shown that, like, he kind of gets it. So I don't think that it necessarily is like a sack him situation, but I think
it's definitely not an emergency situation right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an emergency for them, but at the same time, he's not amazing.
Yeah, and for me, so I don't know about you guys. England is the major team I support when it comes to watching international footy because it's the team you resonate the most with. It has the Premier League guys. What's frustrating about Southgate is, yes, for the FA to justify keeping him, they have a completely sound case. He made a semi-final of a World Cup and a final of a Euro, lost on penalties. That's levels that England have not reached in time. And that's a serious accolade for him. But I think where people get frustrated is, one, his style of play with the talent he has just doesn't suit it at all. And then two, he's just a frustrating manager, and you feel like England are in this like prime of golden players and that we should be winning those finals, and that his tactics are what is deciding us losing. Like against Italy this summer, a lot of people felt like his tactics were the reason that England didn't go on and win that match and do better in the group stage and all of those things. So I think that's a little bit why people are frustrated. For me, I would have got rid of him after the Euros and said, thank you for all you've done, but we're going to look for someone else to win the World Cup. At this point, I think the FA are going to stick with him.
Yeah, I think he at least gets through the World Cup cycle unless there's like a collapse and like they finish like third in their group and they just like lose a bunch of games or like, a random scandal comes out or he just like completely loses the locker room over some shit. Like, I don't see Southgate going anywhere until at least the end of the World Cup.
I tell you what, though, Newcastle, they could take a hard look at Southgate.
That would be hilarious, actually. I think that would be really funny. I'm with
Potter's
that.
name's been thrown into the mix there, too.
I saw that. But overall, Southgate, it's a tough one to call. I feel like fans are definitely frustrated, especially when England are drawing games and qualifying. And just when you have that much talent on the field, it's kind of hard to justify, not winning in any scenario. That's all I had on that one, though.
Yeah, I do want to make one more note about this game because I like to highlight when City players do cool things. At the John Stones got interviewed against when they played their game against Hungary, and as we know, the Hungary fans are racists. And they asked him his opinion on the fans, and he pretty point blank was like, I have nothing good to say about their team or their fans as a whole. And I think that was really cool. Fuck racism. Anywho, let's talk about something that I'm going to get a lot of joy out of, and that's hearing Austin complain about Tottenham.
It's happened again. It's happened again. Tottenham Hotspur, it's happened again.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to make this short and brief, to be honest, but it's a touchy subject. Especially, I think it all fell apart when we lost to Arsenal the other day or a couple weeks ago. We were on a road trip and we were watching that at lunch, and I got harassed by everyone. It was awful. I don't know. I think the manager choice, I like him, honestly. I think it was a good choice. I think the biggest thing that's hurting us right now is we should have got rid of Kane, and I think we should have used him. We're not going to get him for as much money now at this point. He's not playing as well. He could turn it around, but I think we should have taken him when we could have gotten $100 million for him and used that to buy into better players.
Yeah, you pointed it out too. It's not necessarily Nuno. I think Nuno's a class manager. I think Daniel Levy, the owner, is the problem. He's being a pocket boy and trying to make as much money as he can on Harry Kane, and I don't think that's the tactic, man.
No, and his value is only going to go down. I mean, he's had a couple good years. I'd say probably the last 5 years he's been pretty good, with last year, winning the Golden Boot. That's probably the peak Harry Kane that you're going to see. And then at this point, seeing him play right now and really seeing him not even want to be there almost, we're not going to get as much money for him. And I think we missed out on a big opportunity to use that money to get someone class that's going to actually help us out a lot.
How much longer do you see him wearing the armband? And who would you rather see it on?
Well, usually Hugo wears it.
He does?
Yeah. Usually Hugo has it. If Hugo's out, Kane has it. But it kind of shocked me that they kind of gave it right back to him. I mean, there were a couple games that I think it was in the Conference League that he was the captain again. And it was like you had him all summer kind of fighting to leave. It doesn't seem like a good move for leadership on my part. But
yeah, I feel like that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence in the side when this dude who was pretty publicly trying to leave the club and wasn't showing up to training however planned his vacation was, and how known it was that he would be showing up to training at those times, and just the complete disappearing act he did on all social media until he was like, I am committed to the future of Tottenham kind of thing.
Yeah,
it just seems like maybe Nuno and some other players should be like, he's not really all here. Give the captain's armband to someone that cares.
Yeah, and if it's not on Hugo, man, you got to take a hard look at Heung-min Son. What a class player, and he has dedicated his career now at this point to Tottenham, re-signing, dedicating his allegiance there. He's been a wonderful servant to the club, wonderful talent. He's the player I think you build around. You put him on the wing and build around him, and you're letting Kane just come back into the team and kind of take that leadership off him, and it's like, that just is, it's so ingenuine.
Yeah, I think Hugo, not Hugo, Son's definitely a much better leader at this point, and I mean he's probably one of the classiest players in my opinion. There's not many people in the Premier League that everyone can say I don't have an issue with him. He's a wonderful person. He's a great player. It's just one of those guys, and I think it's kind of a shame that we gave it back to the guy that doesn't even want it really. says he's dedicated to playing and trying to get Tottenham better, but like it's all for show, to be honest.
His play hasn't showed that at all this year. You know,
he's scoring goals in the Europa Conference League. It's a joke. He can't score anything in the Premier League now. It went from golden boot to just awful.
Golden shit.
It's the body language for me too. I mean, those games against Chelsea and Arsenal literally just didn't look like he wanted to be on the pitch.
No. Him. I think our back line needs some work. I'll die on my grave, or I'll die. Eric Dyer. He makes me just want to die inside. He's one of the worst. I just hate him. I hate every part of him. You know, some people say he's not a bad player. I just have never liked him as a center back, or really on the field. You know, he doesn't do many good things. There's not many games I'm like, wow, Eric Dyer was really good this game.
My man of the match goes to Eric Dyer, is something I don't think I will ever hear Austin say. So I guess a question I have for you, because I'd like to kind of circle back to the Kane thing again for the selling him and getting the money. So Kane goes in the summer. Do you think if you had sold Kane and you invested that money in, say, 2 or 3 squad players, one of which probably including a replacement, where do you think that would have gone? And I mean, obviously you'd probably be in a better position than you are in now, but how much better do you think the side would be without Kane, like realistically?
I mean, realistically, if you look at the tables right now, we're 3 points out of second place. We're not drastically out of it at this point. I think we're probably a little higher in the tables. I don't think we're at the top of the league. But I think a couple extra players are going to help us out a bunch. I think who'd we sign? We signed Romero. I haven't seen much of him play in the Premier League. But I think he's going to be good. I think I hated that Alderweireld left. I really liked him in our back line. I think he was a really good player. But I think new forward, maybe a better winger to help out Son. I think Lucas and Bergwijn they're class players, but I don't think they have that like extra where they're winning you a ball game all the time. They'll win you a ball game every once in a while, but they're not winning you a game consistently, you know?
If you had got the money this summer, I think the players you take a look at were Danny Ings, who you missed the boat on. Daniel
I love
Mallon,
Danny Ings.
who you missed the boat on. He already went to PSV. Bellingham's probably out of your price range in the midfield. You have, Yves Bissouma, who looks like he's going to prison now. you missed the mark on all the players you actually needed to sign, and now they're all unavailable.
They're all gone. Yeah,
way to go, Levy.
Danny Ings would have been class with us. He's so good. If he has like a good team around him, he's scoring goals. He reminds me of like a little bit better of a Giroud, in my opinion.
I love Danny Ings. I rate the hell out of Danny Ings. He was a lot of fun to have at Liverpool while we had him, although we didn't see much. Just because of the way the team was when he was here. But I feel bad for the position Tottenham's in. I just with how
it's going to be a hard
weight,
one to get out of.
It is, and with how much weight, I feel like the Harry Kane, I would call it a debacle at this point, had on the summer transfer window. I just feel like it just kind of puts that little black mark on Tottenham, and I do feel bad for the Spurs fans. I really do. It's not a good place. It's not a good place to be in. If you were ownership, who's the one player you want to go out and get right now?
I don't know. It's tough because there's not a lot available at the moment.
In your price range, especially.
Yeah, that's the other issue. I mean, if we had sold Kane for the $100 million, that we could have got 3 decent players that would have helped out a lot. who just went to PSG, Hakimi. I think we were talking to him for a little bit. I had heard. I thought I think he would have been pretty good. I would have liked to see him, but I don't know. I'd have to actually take a look at like kind of who's getting out of clubs and who's available at the moment.
I'll give out a couple good ones. You're gonna have to either get young players or players on the back half of their career that just want to leave and get another chance. I mentioned it last week with Newcastle. Phil Coutinho twerking for the Premier League. He's flirted with the London teams before. He would be a good addition. Second,
he would be.
Wilf Zaha to the front line. You could get him for Palace for pennies from what he was worth a couple years ago. And he would. You can't tell me he wouldn't be a good addition to the line.
He would be a good one. I would like that a lot, actually.
You got to look for those bargain kind of type guys that are, Well,
it's like Danny Ings. He would have been such a good pickup. Like he was scoring tons of goals with Southampton. Southampton wasn't that great last year.
What's Ivan Toney's contract situation looking like?
Someone's gonna buy him in the summer. I don't know what his contract.
Ivan Toney. I feel like that might be even a really good fit. I feel like he would link up well with Son.
That's the thing. We need to find someone that can have a good connection. Like Son and Kane's connection last season was super. It was super, super, super good. And now it's almost non-existent right now.
Pain.
Yeah,
not
lots
for me,
of pain.
But
yeah. Sit on your golden throne.
I will. I love it. It's so comfortable.
Cost you $1 billion to get there, but it's fine.
Yeah. Hey, man. How many times have you seen Tottenham win a Premier League? I've seen City win 4.
We can't just get out the checkbook every time we want a championship.
Here we go.
You should move on. You should move on to something else.
Well, at least... I was going to say at least Pat doesn't have to do an Amazon documentary, but Pat did have to do an Amazon documentary.
Right, but I got to at least see us win a couple trophies in the Amazon doc. I'm excited to watch the Tottenham one because the first 10 minutes are going to be great because you won your annual We Beat Man City trophy, and then the rest of the documentary is going to be hysterical.
Hey, we beat Man City this year, too.
Yeah, you won your annual We Beat Man City trophy, and then you didn't win anything else.
Therapy just turned into a barrage of banter.
This was like, for Sopranos fans out there, this was like Chris Moltisanti therapy. It was group therapy that just went very poorly.
Fucking turned a 180 there.
Yeah. I tried to keep it classy, but City guys they don't have any class behind them.
I was going to keep it civil with you on the podcast. All right. We got one more person that's got a team that they support that fucking stinks. So, Josh, tell us how you feel.
These man-dem out here in St. Paul pissing me off to a new level, my guys. I watched them this weekend. I've been watching them, week in, week out, all season long. I'm an MLS guy now. First season really being an MLS fan. Give these guys a chance. They started off the season piss poor. Went on a huge run. It was electric through summer. Robin Ludd, Emmanuel Reynoso, Franco Fragapane. These guys are ballers, man. And when they want to, they're really good. They have been so dreadful lately. It has been so miserable to watch. 3 wins out of 10. And the biggest thing here, this weekend. So this statistic is one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. They're 0-2-1 on 2 points from an available 9 against teams that have got a red card. They have gone 170 minutes with a man advantage without scoring. Almost 2 entire games. Farwell just dropped out of the call, but we are going to push on and ignore it.
Be right back.
He told me he's going to get his phone charger or his laptop charger, so he'll be back momentarily.
Perfect. Let's push on.
Josh, you should just hide the box until he's back. Just click the little eye.
Technical difficulty, folks.
Okay.
Stand by. There we go. Boom.
There we go.
Perfect.
You can edit that in post.
No post today. Anyway, so this weekend, we are up 1-0 with 30 minutes to go. The other team gets a red card, so we're up 1-0, 30 minutes to go, up a man. We lose that match 3-1. That's probably the most surprising result I think Andy could have imagined. At home as well, in front of the Wonderwall, which is one of the hardest places to play in the MLS. They brought on this Barrios kid who won a penalty, scored a goal, and then chipped our keeper with a header and rolled it in for another assist for the third goal. Adrian Heath's changes were piss poor, which makes sense because he's, from Everton. It was literally just an all-around shocking performance, and now we're 7th place in the West. We have the last playoff spot right now, and it is looking grim. I can't go to another game until playoffs are decided, and it doesn't look like we're going to get a home playoff game, so it might be the end of the matches I get to go to, but I don't even know if we're going to make the playoffs at this point. So I needed to get that off my chest. It's been a tough go, as of late.
Just fly out when the Revs are in the MLS conference, the MLS Cup final. We got you, dog.
Yeah, you can go sit in the fort and enjoy a real MLS experience.
It's so bad, man. I love the MLS because it's so, I don't know, up and down and different than the Premier League.
It's so terrible, but it's a really good time.
Yeah.
This team.
It's like watching winter high school soccer.
That's a deep cut.
That's the main stand, though. We got these main references.
It's a deep cut. You've got me out there running around playing striker.
I supported you.
Yeah,
I was a ball boy.
That's true. You were a ball boy.
We're gonna get right. I think we're gonna be pretty brief on the Minnesota United chat today. We can dive right into the weekend preview.
We got a lot coming up this weekend.
There's a couple of good ones out here.
Yeah.
You guys can take it away with the first preview. I don't have anything to say about Liverpool.
Yeah, 7:30 kickoff on Saturday morning. I'll be missing this one. I will be in the air going to Boston. Fabinho and Allison are going to probably be missing for Liverpool, so Kawif Kelleher is probably going to start in goal, and probably Hendo in the 6. I could be wrong there. Liverpool have won 4 out of their last 5 against Watford. They've obviously had those 2 draws consecutively against Brentford and Man City, but I think we'll bounce back here. What do you think, Mitch?
I agree with you, especially if we have Trent back, have our solid back line. Watford's a decent side. It's, again, one of those games we always seem to struggle with, but ultimately end up getting the 3 points. I think this one will be a little bit easier. Definitely have to feel some type of way coming off the draw with City. It was just a cracking match. Regardless, obviously the guys want to go out and get 3 points every week, but I think that's one of those games where you earned that point, So I don't think they're on their heels at all. I think they're going to come out swinging, and I'd love to see a thrashing here. I would love to see 4-1.
Yeah, they're generally pretty bad score lines too. The games we have won in those last 4 out of 5, we win big. So we're introducing kind of a new segment this week. We're going to mix this in while we're going through the preview. Rick's Picks. So for those of you that don't know, I write betting articles. We're in the betting game. So for this one, I have Liverpool minus 1.5. For those of you not in betting, that means Liverpool are going to win by more than a goal. So I'm expecting a multiple goal advantage from Liverpool. That's odds of plus 105. So that means if you bet 100, you get 105 back in return, in addition to the 100 you put down.
That's what we call in the business a lock.
Correct. Mortal lock.
And Farwell has rejoined us.
Sorry about that.
Let's get Farwell back in the mix.
Farwell is back.
Let's get this shit.
We are a logistics company.
We are technologically savvy because we're millennials.
Did you move on from Minnesota?
Yeah, finished up with Minnesota. Now we're in the weekend preview. Liverpool
we got through Liverpool too,
Watford.
So you couldn't chirp. So
let's
just move right on to Man City and Burnley.
Let's go back to Liverpool for a second.
Yeah, what do you got to say?
No, nothing nice. It's usually just irrational and unfactual.
Nothing nice.
But regarding the Minnesota, I've seen a lot of stuff, especially around the Portland area, that they're trying to make promotion and relegation into the MLS a thing in the next couple of years
with the NWSL.
Not the
the women are going to come up to the MLS.
Not sorry. Fuck me, dude.
USL.
USL, that's what it is.
Yeah, so like the big thing,
Fuck
like
me.
they're bringing the USL to Portland in the next couple of years. But I've seen a lot of stuff regarding, I guess, in the FIFA bylaws, if a FIFA sponsored league, or if a league is to be sponsored by FIFA, they have to have the option for promotion and relegation. And a lot of the USL clubs are starting to potentially put a lawsuit together towards the MLS to allow it, which I think would be
that's kind of electric. I like that, man. Some
I'm in Farwell in the MLS.
They have some fire merch. I'm just gonna say that.
And the USL does promote and relegate too, right? There are sub like the USL.
No, I don't think they promote
Portland.
I don't think they promote and relegate. They just have the different divisions, but they don't allow change in the divisions.
Austin is spot on. Yeah. All right, that was fun talking about America for a second again.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Let's go back to Europe where the football doesn't blow. Next game on our preview list here is one that we barely have to spend any time on because it's like super cut and dry. Man City versus Burnley. We literally fucking murder Burnley every time we play them. 4-0 City. That is all.
Sean Deitch. Arg, arg, arg.
Brah, brah, brah. It's his year to get fucking relegated. Get out of the Prem, Sean. I fucking hate you.
Rick's pick, Foden to score plus 110. Those odds also are ridiculously good. I cannot fathom that Foden is that likely to score, but I like him in this game because...
he's hot and he likes scoring on Burnley, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably saying City are going... I'd say City 3-0.
That's fair score. And I was leaning toward 3, but like we put 5 past him, like 4 out of the last 5 games we played him.
You're one of those teams that just doesn't have a problem with Burnley. A lot of like Liverpool struggle against Burnley.
We fucking kill Burnley. We absolutely murder Burnley, and I just adore it.
I'm just ready for a Sean Dyche masterclass. Burnley 3-1.
If Burnley beat City 3-1 at the Etihad, I will not be on the show next week.
No, I'll fill in for you because you're gonna need a mental break after that one.
Just hoof the ball up to Chris Wood for 90 minutes.
Next up here, we've got Leicester and Man United. This one feels like it should be fun, but Leicester are like pretty meh right now.
I mean, United's pretty meh at times too.
Yeah, but United are just like I think United side.
Yeah, they have the better goal scoring threat too. I mean, realistically, Leicester rely a ton on Jamie Vardy, and it's kind of easy to lock down when you know one person's their main threat or your main threat. I mean, as much as I don't like United, they got the likes of Pogba, Bruno. Rashford's on the bench now. Rashford's about to come back.
That new Ronaldo, whatever his name is.
I'm just saying that man Jamie Vardy doesn't play international football anymore. He's going to have some fresh legs.
That is true.
It's true.
I could picture it going for like a 1-1 draw, but I think realistically it's probably going to be 2-1 United.
Yeah, I have this one over 2.5 total goals. That's minus 130 odds. So we're taking minus odds here, but this one's pretty much a lock. So I like it.
And then next up, Everton West Ham. I like this one. I like this game. I think this game has potential to be the best Premier League game of the weekend, I think. I don't think there's a ton of other fixtures that like feel like they should be as close as these two. Everton are feeling pretty good. West Ham are kind of on the downtrod after a pretty hot start to the season. So I think that it's one team wanting to keep some momentum and another team kind of trying to pick it back up. So I can see both sides really going for it here. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, so West Ham lost their last match to Brentford, a last-minute heartbreaker at the Olympic Stadium in London. I think they bounce back against Everton, though. I think West Ham is a really good threatening side, and I think they're going to have a really good year this year. And I think, this is going to be one of those games where there's a little bit of a gut check. Like, do you go on a downward spiral a little bit, or do you bounce back from a loss? I think they bounce back. I don't have a money line or spread pick. One thing I think that is a mortal lock because of Everton's shamble defense and little arms in goal. I think Antonio is a lock to score at plus 185.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more there. Farwell, what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say the same thing. I think I'm favoring West Ham in this one.
I think they need it. And I think Antonio, he's been that key piece, obviously, to start this hot. So I think if he's able to kind of bounce back after the last few weeks with the red card, slow play, not really able to capitalize on those big chances, I think we do see West Ham bounce back here with the goal from Antonio.
Correct.
He's gonna net 2. I'm gonna have him net 2.
Oh wow.
I'm not going to say a word about Antonio, because if I put him on my fantasy team, he's going to get another red card.
We're going to switch gears now to the Bundesliga. I'm going to take care of this one just because we have two special teams, Leverkusen and Bayern, 2 versus 1 in the Bundesliga. But, Bayern, it's not worth betting the money line because they're bound to win every single game. They're favored by a ton every single game. I think the more valuable pick here is over 3.5 total goals, minus 125. And you know what, guys? That was talking Bayern.
That was talking Bayern.
Can I talk Leverkusen for just a second? Because
You can.
I do social media for a living. So this week, the red flag trend started on social media. And Leverkusen shared one. And it was a bunch of red flags. And it was I don't watch the Bundesliga. And then someone quote tweeted them. And they were like, it's a one-team league. Everybody sells all their best players to Bayern anyway. And they quote tweeted that person and were like, we haven't sold a player to Bayern since 2004. Legendary. And then someone replied to that one and was like, that just means you haven't produced a top talent since 2004. And Leverkusen's admin had time. So he quote tweets that person and goes, the last top talent we produced literally scored the game-winning goal in the 2021 Champions League final. And I just want whoever runs that Twitter account, Bayer Leverkusen English, I want them to get a raise. They're so good at their job. They're so good at their job.
We need to do a draft of best admins.
There's some pretty shit ones out there, but I've seen some fantastic ones.
Roma and Leverkusen very easily take the cake, top 2.
I was just talking about Roma the other day because they do the little almost milk carton thing where they put missing persons on all their transfer announcements because those get the most engagement. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
I think my top admin has to be Barca for
blocking Josh.
The fuck out of Josh.
They were very easily. It took about 21 corner taken quickly gifts, and they gave me the block.
They're like, yeah, we've had it. With
That's soft. That's so soft. 21.
They unblocked.
It's a pretty low number.
They did unblock me, but
what?
So that means you gotta get blocked again. Yeah, you're right back into it.
I need to make fun of Pedri.
Also, not that I really want to bring it back to Tottenham, but their game this week I think is going to be really huge for morale. They play Newcastle, which is luckily they're not the new Newcastle with the amount of money that they've just inquired, but it's really going to be a big game for them, I think. it's definitely a game that they can win, but if we defend soft, say Maximin, he's always a threat up top.
He'll dice you.
Gucci headband. Going over to Italy, Josh's favorite league this year.
Yes.
We've got Lazio and Inter.
Yeah,
six
this is
hosting
kind of
a
top six matchup here.
Inter unbeaten in the Serie A too.
Yeah, they've adapted well. In life without Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez kind of stepping up, and a lot of other good players. They're still a tough side. They're not going to compete in the Champions League, but there's no reason they can't give Serie A another go. And like I've said a million times, Serie A is wide open.
I mean, the only reason Inter's unbeaten is because Fiorentina caught the red card last week.
Once you lose Vlahovic or whatever his name is, you are done for. This whole bet you have with Pat is in the trash can.
That's not even a bet. I'm just gonna be like so angry if Mitchell's like random, like almost out of his ass fighting for top 6 claim at the start of this podcast comes to fruition. I'm gonna freak out.
The boys in purple will prevail.
Mitch was talking out of pocket, and he deserves to be proven wrong.
I deserve to be proven wrong, and I don't care how out of pocket I was when I made that. I stand by it, and the boys are in 5th. I will take it.
We have to salute that as well.
If
there's one thing we'll never, ever fault anyone for on the Main Stand podcast, it's sticking to their guns.
That's true. In this one, though, every time I've taken Lazio this year, they don't do well for me, so I am going to roll with Inter. The money line's plus 120, which is great odds for a team that just won the Serie A last year, so I'm rolling with them. And the match after that, we have, sticking with Italy, Roma-Juventus. It's probably the match in Serie A, of the weekend. Juventus obviously started out the season very poorly, but have won 3 on the bounce. Roma started off well too, but they've been mixing in some losses with their results. They haven't been that impressive lately. I think Tammy is a threat to the Juve defense, but the thing with Juventus is really if they can just score. So in this one, I have the Juventus money line for that reason, because they have been finding the net more recently, and their defense is just consistent. The defense is never the problem, so that's why I think Juventus has the edge here. They are the favorites.
They definitely don't have the goal threat that they used to have anymore.
Well, yeah,
absolutely not.
The Dybala hype just kind of died out, and Murata isn't your striker. Moise Kean isn't the striker you need. So,
but with that, do you think Jose can tactically defend that? Like where they don't have that consistent scoring threat. Yes, they're netting a few goals here and there over the last few weeks and kind of picking up some steam. But I think Jose can tactically handle that with the tools he has.
I mean, he's not going up against Allegri isn't an easy manager to plan against either.
No, he's not. But I think Roma yes, they are starting to crack a little bit. They haven't been as dominant as they were at the start of the year. Tammy fell off a little bit after his hot start. So I don't know. I see Jose getting on them. It's a big game for 2 big clubs. So I do see Jose kind of giving Roma the kick in the pants over Juve here.
Yeah. And the last one, going over to France, Lyon versus Monaco. Monaco's in 6th place right now. I think there's some surprising some people. They have Ben Yedder, they have Kevin Volland, some goal scorers. They're actually quite talented through and through, and they're actually the underdog in this match, plus 205, which is huge odds. You get a huge return on that one. I have the Monaco money line, so them just winning outright.
Nice.
And that was talking Ligue 1.
And that was Uber Eats. All right. So as we come to the end of this episode, as many of you may or may not know, the number 9 is a very special number in the game of football. It's the striker position. It's a very iconic number. Many people have worn the number 9. Many people have played the number 9 role. So to celebrate episode 9 of the Main Stand with our guest, Austin, here, we're all going to go around and we're going to share our favorite number 9s of all time, whether it be they wore the number or they just play the position of striker. We just kind of want to do this fun little share segment here. You know, you can name a couple if you guys want to. I have a couple. I have like my obvious favorite number 9 and like a couple honorable mentions just to, you know, share, maybe not a hot take necessarily, but just some fun ideas, shoot some names out there, have a little nostalgia with people. So does anybody out there really want to get us started, or do you kind of want me to kick things off here?
I'll kick us off.
Yeah, don't let Ricker start because I know what he's going to say. It's going to make
I have a few, Farwell.
It's going to make me angry.
Mitch, get us started.
I have a couple as well. Obviously, you have your like overall favorite, and then like for me, my club favorite. I have to say, probably Fernando Torres would be my club favorite. Just the way he changed the way our club played. He was just fun to watch. So much energy, always fighting for 90 minutes. And I think he really was a huge piece to our success back, 2008 to 12-ish. And then my all-time favorite, just because...
Did you say Fernando Torres played for Liverpool in 2012?
Like, just the runoff after that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
you're right. Sorry. I got...
Just...
Yeah.
Up from when he was at the club to just after, because Luis Suarez coming in, like there were he was a big
Chelsea fan.
Yes,
that was hot and ready on that one.
Closeted.
I had to think about that for a second. I was like, wait, 2012?
No, just that 4-year-ish period. And then overall, I think I have to go with Zlatan, just because the fact that he's just done Zlatan for so long, he's just like such a character in the game of football, but he also lets his play back it up, and I think he's a gem for the game of global football.
I think Zlatan's a great player. I also think he's a fucking buck. I'm sick of Ibrahimovic.
He is, but that's why I love him.
Makes you love him more.
I just wish he'd shut the fuck up sometimes.
I don't like him. I think he's too arrogant. For a player that's never won the Champions League, he talks a lot of stick about winning trophies.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shit to say.
So do I when I pulled Fiorentina out of my ass.
I loved his whole speaking in third person and calling himself a lion and shit. But after a while, I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Just stop. Please, I'm begging you.
Who wants to go next?
Austin, you're our guest. Why don't you?
Yeah, I'll go. I think club favorite. I think I gotta go with Robbie Keane.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, he was always a class player. I think that not that there's been much better number 9s at Tottenham, but I think he's definitely one of the greatest that we've had. I think my favorite right now, honestly, I think I gotta go with Lewandowski. Even though he played, he is a freak. You could say he plays in the Bundesliga and the Farming League, but I mean, the man scores so many goals. It's unreal. It's almost impossible to stop him.
The only time he misses is when he posts a TikTok.
So yeah, I mean, right now I think that's got to be, for me, I think he's probably one of my favorite to watch. He's just always in the right position, and he's always getting himself in the right spots. He's not the fastest player. He's not beating many people on the dribble, but he's very, very smart with what he does, and he can finish the ball.
Yeah.
And I think all time, I think I gotta go with Alan Shearer.
Alan.
He could get it done on a rainy night at Newcastle. That's the saying, right?
Pre-money Newcastle.
Pre-money
Newcastle before the oil money. He was banging in goals.
And I think they were maybe a little bit better back then too, but even then he was tearing it up. He's just always been a class player.
He did play for Newcastle when they had the coolest kits too. So
yeah. So you got to give him extra points for that one.
I'm into it. Josh, you want to go, or do you want me to go?
I can go.
All right.
So I think I don't think any of us are going to mention this guy. So I think it's important to say, like, we're not omitting him. It's just I think we're all in agreement that he's probably, like, the best. Is R9.
Duh. Yeah.
So we're not going to say it's like saying taking Michael Jordan #1 in an NBA draft. Yeah. Silly.
Yeah, of course.
So with that being said, my club favorite is Bobby Firmino. Favorite. He is one of the most unique soccer players I've ever put my eyes on. His movement, defensive work rate, the way he drops down almost in the midfield and lets his wingers, run in front of him. It's something that's, rarely been done to the level that he has been able to do, especially with his assist count. Just his flair and finesse, the celebrations. I mean, it's the reasons he's all adored by the cop. He's just the best, man.
It's the most overrated.
He's not. He's simply not, Farwell.
The best false nine.
He is the best false nine.
Defending, attacking striker.
Not right now. A few years ago when I was saying that, when Liverpool were winning the Champions League, every manager would have taken Firmino in their team. Not in the starting 11, in the team. He was the best false nine in the world at that time.
Because Messi was playing right wing.
Well, yeah. But
play the 9 from the right wing.
I'm not taking Bobby Firmino slander tonight, okay?
You know what? It's been a really good episode, and I have Austin here to send all my shit towards.
Yeah, it's
so
2v2 now.
Say anything.
It's 2v2 now.
No, you'll give it to me, but you won't give it back to him. Come on.
Yeah, you're our guest. I can give it to Josh anytime, any episode. I feel like Josh and I can have an argument. I can just have one. You're here, so I'm gonna make my most. I gotta make the most of it.
I do want to say historically, I think the number 9 with the most influence, Johan Cruyff, Ajax, Barcelona legend, both on the field and on the touchline. I mean, he changed the game of football, like as we know it.
He revolutionized the game.
Yeah, and then my other one, I think I'll call this an honorable mention player I like to go back and watch games highlights of, Robbie Fowler. I mean, just class. Liverpool legend. I think we all can watch that celebration against Everton when he goes on the touchline and pretends to snort it like cocaine and just smile and have a good laugh. He's a fascinating character from Toxteth in Liverpool. Was raised in a really diverse area, and that's kind of where he got his flair and, technical ability. And he's a really cool story and a player I just love to go back and watch.
And his hair is always wet.
Yes, this is true.
Yep.
I believe he's managing, or I'm not sure if he still is. He was managing in a team named like Bengal something in India. I'm not sure if he still is.
Nice. All right, so I guess it's just on me to close this one out here, huh, guys?
Yes, sir.
Attaboy.
So, club favorite and all-time favorite are the same player. I love Sergio Aguero more than I love some members of my family. Everything about him is incredible. He produced like the most iconic moment in Premier League history in that, title-winning goal at the last minute. Unfortunately, right now, it feels like a case of like when Eden Hazard left the Premier League, people are very quick to forget how good of a player he actually was. It's crazy. One really bad injury season. So like your numbers are funky and people kind of, forget how good you were. Statistically, the best scorer in Premier League history. I absolutely love the guy. He is my favorite player. Overall,
he definitely did a ton for City too while he was.
Yeah, him, David Silva, and Vincent Kompany were like the 3 guys that really propelled us to where we are today.
And he's in a very short list of Premier League greats.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Adore him. Favorite at the moment is Kareem Benzema. I think Benzema is arguably the most underrated player of this generation. A lot of the things that he is so good at went super under the radar because he played with Ronaldo all those years at Real Madrid. I just think he's incredible. I think he can do literally everything. I think he's like a dream forward for so many teams. He can pass the ball. He can hold up play really well. He can score. He can assist. He's like not selfish. He's a very, very, very just good all around forward. And I'm a huge fan of his game. And he's one of those guys who's like peaking in their 30s, really similar to Lewandowski, where like they're getting older and they're getting better. And unlike Ibrahimovic, they're not going to the MLS. They're staying in Europe. Anyway, yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
Big Benzema guy. It didn't mean anything, but you know, your reaction says enough to me. Big Benzema guy. I think he's a really, really good player. And my last one. I'm not going to share an all-time one because everybody's done all-time ones. I'm gonna drop a hidden gem, a player that, like Benzema, I feel has not gotten enough credit in these last 10 years. And I'm going to put my blue back on for this one. Edin Dzeko is a player who I want to point out how journeyed this man actually is.
FIFA legend.
Won the title with Wolfsburg the season before he came to City, right? Golden Boot in Germany. Came to City, played like kind of a primary striker role to Aguero. He is, other than Ronaldo, and he did it before Ronaldo, Cristiano, the first player to score 50 goals in 3 of Europe's top 5 leagues, which is, in my opinion, a big accomplishment. I think he has been a very, very good player in all years that he has been a player. He was really, really important to City, winning the title in 11-12 and in 13-14 when Aguero was injured toward the latter half of that season. Dzeko stepped up big time. I've always been a really big fan of Edin Dzeko, so I wanted to give him his flowers that I feel he deserves when we're talking about number 9s that we are big fans of.
He had some big Champions League goals too. I know when he was playing for Roma, he had some big ones against Liverpool in that semifinal.
Yep, and he had against Chelsea, or not? Yeah, he had that. What was it? It was like in the top 5 goals of the season. That fucking banging volley against Chelsea in the group stage that year. He had 2 goals. Was it 2 goals or a goal and an assist against Barcelona in the comeback too?
Yes, he did. I believe he's at Inter right now, correct?
Yep. He played a big role in that too. Yeah, I've always been a very big fan of Edin, my big Bosnian prince.
Yes, sir.
He's definitely one that slides under the radar. You don't think about him as much anymore.
No, but I mean, being someone who supported City, like obviously, I'm gonna like say only good things about him. Kind of similar to like how Josh feels about Firmino. I feel it's kind of the same light. Like not super regarded as like really, really quality by some rival fans, but like watching him week in, week out, you really like come to appreciate what he brings to your side.
I would argue that he's probably more quality than I think. I think more non like City fans would agree that he's like a quality striker that's proved himself time and time again.
Yeah, but I mean, in the same regard, I feel like Firmino is a very, very quality player too, but still doesn't really get all of his flowers.
I think I would say Dzeko's better than.
Dzeko's done it for a lot longer. That's for sure.
Yes.
He's my Bosnian prince, and I love him.
I have one more honorable mention, just purely from celebrations. Grouchy.
I was gonna shout. Too.
That volley he scored against City, that was insane.
Like for how big and slow of a guy he is, like he knows how to use his body the way it was built, and the whip he could put on a ball, and just the pure power just because of how long his legs were was insane.
He's a lengthy
He's
boy.
a funny guy too. Has a good podcast.
Hilarious.
Yeah, he does. If you've never seen the billboard that he put up in England for the Peter Crouch podcast, go do that. It's really funny.
10 out of 10.
He like drew it by hand. It's like stick figures. It's fucking hysterical. I think that about wraps up this week's episode. Yeah.
It's been a fun one. El Nino, episode 9 in the books. First
Austin,
YouTube
thanks for coming. Yeah, also, first YouTube episode. Those of you listening at home on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Stitcher or right on Anchor. Our heart, our love, our first podcasting love of Anchor FM. We're on YouTube now too. Yes. Go watch the episode live. You can look at our faces.
Is on. The expansion is on.
You can almost email Austin at one point in this episode when he turns his webcam
off. That does the thing, boys. 9 episodes deep, and we're just getting started.
Hell 10. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Austin, thanks for coming on, dude. Thanks for coming and shooting the shit with us this week. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You can't come on again until Tottenham win the league, though.
Yep.
See you never, buddy.
You have nobody to talk about your feelings with anymore.
You might need to let me back on just eventually.
Yeah,
it could get rough over here.
Are like really down bad. We can have you back on again.
Yeah.
It'll be like a true therapy session because I've still got a little bit of hope right now. But if it gets bad,
it's like the stages of grief. When you hit acceptance, you can come back on the show.
That's fair.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. For those of you watching this on YouTube, we have to start doing that now.
Yes, sir.
If you're listening,
hit the bell notifications to know when our videos hit YouTube.
Fuck yeah, do that thing too. I've never made a YouTube video before this one right here, so this is we'll get it down pat right now. This is the the trial run. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll
see you all next week.
Deuces.